Let's be real. Loneliness is brutal. You look around and it feels like everyone has their tribe, their people, their ride or die friendships, but you're standing alone. And that feeling, it stings. But here's what no one tells you. Being a woman with no friends is not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call. Let's get one thing straight. There is nothing wrong with you just because you don't have a circle of friends right now. Loneliness doesn't mean failure. It doesn't mean you're unworthy. It doesn't mean you'll always feel this way. What it does mean is that something in your life has shifted, and instead of letting that fact weigh you down, you need to take a deep breath and own your reality. Maybe you used to have close friends, but life pulled you in different directions, work got busy, family responsibilities piled up, or maybe you just drifted apart without even realizing it. One day, you looked around and noticed that you had no one to call, no one to make weekend plans with, no one to share those small, everyday moments with. That realization can hit like a punch to the gut. But before you let it spiral into self-doubt and negativity, let's pause for a second. Because here's the truth. This moment right here is not a judgment on who you are as a person. It's just a snapshot of where you are today, and that means it can change. We are so quick to judge ourselves when we feel lonely. The voice in your head starts whispering, "What's wrong with me? Why doesn't anyone want to be my friend? Am I just not likable?" But that voice is lying. That voice is a product of old stories you've been telling yourself for years. Stories about your worth, about how people see you, about what you deserve. And if you believe those stories, you stay stuck. You start shrinking. You pull away even more, convinced that the world has rejected you, when in reality, you are rejecting yourself by believing that you're not enough. So let's flip the script. Instead of spiraling into shame, take a step back and look at your situation with clarity. How did you get here? Be honest, but not cruel. Maybe you've spent so much time taking care of others, your kids, your partner, your career, that you simply forgot to invest in friendships. Maybe you've been hurt before, and to protect yourself, you built walls instead of bridges. Maybe social anxiety has held you back from reaching out or showing up. Whatever the reason, acknowledge it. Not with guilt, not with regret, but with curiosity. Because the moment you own your reality without judgment, you take back your power. When you stop seeing loneliness as a sign that something is wrong with you and start seeing it as a signal that something in your life needs attention, everything changes. You wouldn't get mad at yourself if your car ran out of gas. You just fill the tank. So why get mad at yourself for feeling disconnected? Instead, see it for what it is. A situation that can be improved, a problem with a solution. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They recognize they're lonely, but instead of doing something about it, they sit in the sadness. They let the loneliness define them. They turn their situation into an identity. I'm just not good at making friends. I've always been an outsider. No one ever really sticks around for me. And the more you tell yourself these things, the more you believe them. That belief starts shaping your actions. You stop putting yourself out there. You hesitate before sending that text. You convince yourself that you're better off alone. And before you know it, loneliness becomes a cycle, not just a circumstance. The good news, you can break that cycle. But it starts with owning your reality without attaching shame to it. This is where radical self-compassion comes in. You have to treat yourself the way you would treat a dear friend. If someone you loved came to you and said, "I feel so alone, I don't have any friends," would you tell them, "Yeah, that's because you're unlikable and no one wants to be around you"? Of course not. You'd reassure them. You'd remind them of their worth. You tell them that friendship is something they can build again, no matter how old they are or how long it's been. So why don't you extend that same kindness to yourself? Because here's the reality. Loneliness is common. You are not the only one feeling this way. Millions of people at this very moment are sitting in their homes wondering why they don't have deep friendships, wishing they had someone to talk to, scrolling through social media and feeling like everyone else has figured out something they haven't. But the difference between those who stay lonely and those who change their lives is simple: action. Before we even get to taking action, though, you have to stop fighting reality. Stop making loneliness mean something negative about you. It is simply a signal, a sign that you are craving connection. And connection is something you can create, but only if you stop shaming yourself and start believing that you are capable and worthy of change. Most people who feel lonely make the same mistake. They wait for someone to notice them. They wait for an invitation. They wait for the right moment, the right person, or the perfect situation where making friends feels effortless. But waiting is not a strategy, it's a trap. The longer you wait, the harder it gets, and the more you convince yourself that friendship is something that happens to other people, not you, that belief is what keeps you stuck. Think about it. When was the last time you reached out first? When was the last time you took a chance on connection? Most people don't, not because they don't want friends, but because they are afraid of rejection, afraid of looking needy, or afraid of stepping outside their comfort zone. But here's the thing, you cannot build connections if you're always waiting for someone else to take the first step. You have to be willing to go first. Look at the friendships you admire, the ones you see on social media or in real life. Do you think those people woke up one day with an instant, effortless bond? No. Someone took the first step. Someone made the first move. Someone invited the other person in, and that is exactly what you need to start doing. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first. Yes, it takes courage. But the alternative is staying exactly where you are, wishing things were different, but never doing anything to change them. Here's what this looks like in real life. You're at work and you overhear a conversation about something you're interested in. Instead of staying silent and hoping someone invites you in, you speak up, you add to the conversation, you put yourself in the mix. Or maybe there's a person you always get along with but never see outside of casual settings. Instead of waiting for them to invite you somewhere, you send the text. You suggest coffee, lunch, or a walk. You make the move. It can even be as simple as making eye contact and smiling at someone instead of looking away and assuming they don't want to engage. Small moments build relationships. The biggest lie people tell themselves is that they aren't likable or that no one wants to be their friend. The truth is, people are busy. People get caught up in their own lives. They aren't necessarily avoiding you. They're just not thinking about it the way you are. And that means if you want to create friendships, you have to be the one to step up and create them. Stop assuming rejection before it even happens. Stop making up stories in your head about why someone wouldn't want to be your friend. Instead, give people the chance to surprise you. Think about children on a playground. They don't overthink connection the way adults do. They don't analyze every move. They see another kid, they walk up and they start playing. They don't wonder if they'll be rejected. They don't assume the worst. They just go for it. Somewhere along the way, we lose that ability because life teaches us to fear embarrassment, to avoid discomfort, and to protect ourselves from feeling unwanted. But that fear is costing you real, meaningful connections. The fear of rejection might feel real, but it is not a reason to stay lonely. Yes, there will be moments when you reach out and someone doesn't respond the way you want them to. That's okay. It's not about you. It's about them, their life, their priorities, their own struggles that you don't see. Instead of taking it personally and shutting down, move on, keep trying, keep showing up. The right people will meet you halfway, but they can't do that if you never take the first step. This is about making a choice. The choice to stop waiting for permission to belong, the choice to stop assuming you're not wanted, and the choice to actively create the connections you crave. It won't happen overnight, but every time you take the initiative, every time you reach out first, every time you choose courage over comfort, you are rewriting your story, and that is how everything begins to change. If you want deep, meaningful friendships, you have to stop focusing on what you don't have and start focusing on what you give. Too often, people approach friendship from a place of lack. They think, why doesn't anyone check in on me? Why don't I have friends who truly care? Why am I always the one left out? But here's the hard truth. Friendship isn't something you receive. It's something you create. And the best way to create it is to start showing up as the friend you wish you had. Think about the kind of friend you want. Maybe you want someone who genuinely listens, someone who supports you without judgment, someone who makes an effort to show up in your life. Now ask yourself, are you being that kind of person? When was the last time you reached out to someone just to see how they were doing? When was the last time you made an effort to remember the details of someone's life, their struggles, their goals, their victories? When was the last time you showed up without expecting anything in return? The mistake most people make when they feel lonely is that they sit back and wait for someone to give them the kind of friendship they want. They wait to be included, wait to be checked on, wait for someone else to take the lead. But that's not how connection works. If you want people to care about you, you have to start by caring about them. If you want people to make time for you, you have to start by making time for them. You don't attract great friendships by demanding them, you attract them by embodying them. And here's something most people don't realize. Deep friendships aren't built on big dramatic moments. They're built in the small, everyday choices you make. It's the text you send just to say, hey, I saw something today that reminded me of you. It's remembering that your coworker's mom is sick and checking in to see how she's doing. It's celebrating someone's success even when your own life feels hard. It's being consistent. So many people are good at showing up in crisis, but real friendships are built in the in-between moments, the ones where there's no emergency, no big life event, just the quiet choice to reach out, to care, to be there. And let's talk about presence. We live in a world that is constantly distracted. People scroll through their phones while pretending to listen. They reply with generic responses instead of real engagement. They are physically present but mentally checked out. If you want to build real friendships, be different. When someone talks to you, listen like they are the most important person in the world at that moment. Put your phone down, make eye contact, ask follow-up questions, make people feel seen. Because at the end of the day, what everyone craves more than anything is to feel valued, to feel like they matter. Be the person who gives that to others and watch how your relationships transform. It's also important to recognize that good friendships require emotional generosity. People are not perfect. They will disappoint you. They will forget to text back. They will get caught up in their own problems and miss the signs that you need support. Instead of immediately assuming the worst, practice grace. Assume people's intentions are good. If something bothers you, speak up with honesty but without resentment. If you want a friendship that lasts, you have to be willing to forgive, to communicate, and to allow space for imperfection. No one gets it right 100% of the time, including you. Another key factor in creating deep friendships is vulnerability. If you want people to connect with you in a meaningful way, you have to let them see the real you. Too often, people keep friendships at surface level because they're afraid to be seen as weak or flawed. But here's the truth. Real connection happens when you allow yourself to be known. When you say, yeah, I've been struggling with that too. When you admit, I don't have it all figured out either. When you let someone in, not just to the highlights of your life, but to the hard moments too, that's where trust is built. That's where real friendship begins. And finally, be patient. Deep, lasting friendships don't happen overnight. They take time, consistency, and effort. You might put in the work and not see results right away. That's normal. The key is to keep showing up. Keep being kind. Keep reaching out. The connections you are building now, even if they feel small, are laying the foundation for something bigger. And when you show up as the friend you wish you had, the right people will notice, the right people will respond, the right people will stay. Most people think loneliness comes from not having friends, but sometimes it's deeper than that. It's not just about the absence of people. It's about the absence of connection. And that connection has to start with you. If you don't enjoy your own company, if you don't feel comfortable in your own presence, if you don't treat yourself with kindness and care, then no friendship will ever feel like enough. You could have 100 people around you, but if you don't have a solid relationship with yourself, you will still feel empty. That's why the first and most important step in breaking out of loneliness is to stop looking outside yourself for validation and start building a life that you enjoy with or without anyone else in it. The mistake many people make is thinking that friendships or relationships will fill the gaps they feel inside. They believe that if they just find the right people, they'll finally feel worthy, happy, and complete. But that's not how it works. The friendships that last, the ones that feel truly fulfilling, come when you already feel good about who you are. Because when you feel secure in yourself, you're not clinging to people out of desperation or fear. You're not looking for them to complete you. You're inviting them into a life that already feels whole. That's a powerful shift, and it starts with how you treat yourself. Start paying attention to how you talk to yourself. If you constantly put yourself down, if you criticize yourself for not being good enough, fun enough, or worthy enough, then you're reinforcing the very loneliness you want to escape. No one wants to be around someone who doesn't even like themselves. That energy seeps into everything. You shrink in conversations, you second guess yourself, you hesitate before reaching out, and people can feel that hesitation. Confidence, on the other hand, is magnetic. And confidence doesn't come from waiting for someone else to validate you. It comes from how you show up for yourself every single day. So what does this actually look like? It means making yourself a priority even when no one else is around. It means treating yourself like someone worth investing in. It's taking yourself out to a nice cafe instead of waiting for someone to invite you. It's signing up for that class you've been curious about instead of making excuses. It's putting on your favorite outfit, even if you have nowhere special to go, simply because it makes you feel good. It's proving to yourself in small ways every day that your happiness is your responsibility, not something that depends on other people. This also means taking care of your mental and physical well-being. Move your body, not because you have to, but because it makes you feel alive. Eat food that nourishes you. Get outside. Create a space for yourself that feels comforting and inspiring. When your environment reflects care, it reinforces the message that you matter. And when you start treating yourself with love and respect, you naturally attract people who will treat you the same way. Another key part of this process is getting to know who you really are. When was the last time you asked yourself what you actually enjoy? So many people lose themselves in their routines, their work, or their roles as parents, partners, or caretakers that they forget what truly excites them. Spend time exploring your interests. Read books that challenge you. Try things that scare you, not because someone else is doing them, but because you want to. When you cultivate a life that excites you, you become the kind of person other people want to be around, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you radiate a sense of self-fulfillment that is rare and valuable. And here's something most people don't realize. When you truly enjoy your own company, you become more selective about who you allow into your life. You no longer tolerate friendships that drain you or relationships that make you feel small. You stop chasing people who don't put in the effort, and instead you make space for those who genuinely appreciate you. This is where everything changes. You go from feeling like you have no control over your friendships to realizing that you set the standard for how you want to be treated. At the end of the day, loneliness isn't just about needing more people. It's about needing you, your love, your time, your attention. The better you treat yourself, the more naturally friendships will form, because people are drawn to those who already know their own worth. So before you worry about making new friends, start by being a better friend to yourself. Everything else will follow. Friendship, like anything worthwhile in life, requires effort. It's not just about meeting people, it's about keeping them. Too often, people assume that once they make a connection, the hard part is over. But the truth is, relationships don't thrive on one-time interactions. They grow through consistent effort. If you want deep, lasting friendships, you have to be intentional about nurturing them. Think about the people in your life right now, even the ones you're not very close to yet. When was the last time you checked in on them? When was the last time you asked about something that mattered to them, not just in passing, but in a way that showed you truly cared? Friendships don't fall apart because of big fights most of the time. They fade because people stop putting in the effort. They stop reaching out. They assume the other person is too busy. They wait for someone else to make the first move. And little by little, the connection weakens until one day they realize they haven't spoken in months. This is where most people go wrong. They treat friendships like a convenience instead of a priority. But if you want strong, meaningful relationships, you have to make an effort, even when it's not convenient. You have to be the person who remembers birthdays without Facebook reminders, who sends a message just because, who follows up after a tough day, not out of obligation, but because you genuinely care. These small acts of effort add up over time, and they build the foundation of a friendship that lasts. And let's talk about showing up. In a world where it's easy to hide behind text and social media, being physically present in someone's life is more valuable than ever. If someone invites you to something, go. If you say you'll be there, follow through. Don't be the person who cancels last minute, who makes plans and never keeps them, or who always has an excuse for why they can't make time. Reliability matters. People don't just remember the big gestures. They remember who consistently showed up, who made them feel important, who never made them wonder if they truly cared. Effort also means being willing to have the hard conversations. No real friendship is perfect. At some point, there will be misunderstandings, disappointments, and moments where feelings get hurt. The difference between friendships that last and those that fade is communication. Are you willing to be honest when something bothers you? Are you willing to listen when a friend expresses their feelings instead of getting defensive? Are you willing to work through conflict instead of avoiding it? Friendships built on avoidance are surface level, but friendships that can survive honest conversations, those are the ones that last. And let's not forget about celebrating people. A strong friendship isn't just about being there in the hard times. It's about showing up for the good times too. When something amazing happens in a friend's life, celebrate them, support their wins, be genuinely happy for their success. Nothing weakens a friendship faster than silent jealousy or resentment. Real friends lift each other up. They cheer for each other. They make each other feel valued. If you want a friendship that lasts, don't just wait for people to celebrate you. Be the kind of person who gives that kind of energy first. Consistency is what separates deep friendships from temporary ones. Anyone can be a great friend when it's easy, when schedules align, when life isn't chaotic. But true friendship shows up in the long term through seasons of change, through ups and downs, through the times when effort takes work. And that's the secret most people miss. Friendships don't just happen, they are built moment by moment, action by action, with the people who are willing to invest the time and care it takes to keep them strong. This isn't about waiting for the perfect moment to make a change. It's about deciding right now. So here's what I want you to do. Text someone you've lost touch with today. Say yes to one new opportunity this week. Look in the mirror and remind yourself, you are worthy of connection. You are enough, and you are not alone. Because the truth is, you're not just a woman with no friends.